Writing Spa, Part 2. In this Calvin and Hobbes comic, Calvin thinks he's figured out the secret to good academic writing, and that's changed him from someone who hates writing assignments into someone who loves to write. Pause the recording while you read the comic. I'm sure you've all read writing like Calvin's book report here. The purpose of writing isn't to be an intimidating and impenetrable fog, of course. Good writing is clear and easy to understand. But Calvin is right about one thing. Knowing and keeping in mind the purpose of a piece of writing can be extremely helpful in terms of staying on task and avoiding tangents. It can also be very helpful in deciding what to cut and what to keep during the revision stage. So, consider the paper that you are writing and think about what you want to accomplish, what message you want to convey to your readers. That is your purpose. Then, keep that purpose in mind as you write and only include info and ideas that fulfill that purpose. For example, think of the difference between a thank you email to your grandmother for your birthday present and an email to catch up with an old friend. In the first, it's important to keep the focus on how grateful you are for the present and for the person who gave it to you. In the second, it's important to share information that the other person may not know and to ask questions about what's going on in that person's life. The questions at the end of the day are, what is your purpose? What do you want to accomplish with this piece of writing? And how can you meet that goal? Audience is perhaps the most important part of the writing spa. Knowing your audience helps you craft your message to be the most effective. Knowing your audience affects your language choice, how your message is received, and can even affect what content you choose to include. Let's pretend you get a speeding ticket today. You feel that it's an unfair ticket and you're quite steamed over the whole deal. How you tell the story to your best friend will probably be different than how you explain to the judge why you don't deserve the ticket, right? The way you present your argument, the language you use, and even the argument that you make should be different in those situations. There are three main types of audience. The first is a friendly audience. These are people who are predisposed to agree with the ideas you are presenting, either because they know and like you, or because they share some beliefs that make them more likely to like your ideas. The cliched phrase that sums up this type of audience is preaching to the choir. You don't have to work quite as hard to convince them of your ideas because they are already set in your favor. The next type of audience that is set on not liking you from the start, and this is called a hostile audience. Politics offers us a good many examples. Take a controversial issue like abortion or the death penalty. If you are writing an argument aimed at a group on one side or the other of the issue, and they're on the opposite side from you, you have to work extra hard and be extra conscious of your argument and language choices to get them to even consider what you are saying. Most audiences are neutral or mixed. They contain some folks who are friendly to your ideas, some who are hostile, and some who are in the middle or undecided. A general audience is the most common kind to write for, and it is the one we will be writing for most often in our class. For such an audience, it's important to think about what they know and what you need to explain. It's also important to employ multiple kinds of writing techniques in order to cast as wide a net as possible. Even if you are not writing a traditional argument, you still need to think through what biases and preconceptions your audience might bring, what info you need to share with them to make sure that they follow what you are saying, and what level of formality is appropriate. That's SPA: situation, purpose, audience. While remembering to think about these things won't solve all your writing problems, they do help you easily identify a clear path when you have to make choices during the writing process. And know that how to think through moments of conflict when writing is half the battle. So remember SPA, and hopefully your writing experience will be less stressful.